So today I challenge you to change your trading mindset. I know that's not easy, but the way that we approach the market, how we think about it, and what's going on in our mind is very important to trading success. And doing this is not easy, so I'm not going to act like this is just a walk in the park. The way that we've been taught in school is totally different than kind of what it takes as far as success in the market, how we have to think about it, the mentality required. We've been taught the complete opposite, so to rewire our brain takes a lot of work and many years. And the first one is to think longer term. I know that when I first started trading, I wanted results right now. I feel like I deserved them tomorrow, that I didn't have to put in a lot of work, that if I just sat in front of the screens and clicked buttons, I could get results. And I'm sure a lot of people do that. But here's how I try to think of the perspective of that. I went to college for 4 years, and that degree had very little return. There wasn't much value. So now trying to change my perspective towards the market, if it took me 4 years to go to school, get a degree that didn't do much for me personally, then why wouldn't I think of trading the same way? Whereas at least to find some sort of results, it's going to take years, not weeks. And the really amazing thing about trading is that you can get a lot of value from this. If you figure it out and you approach it the right way, you take a lot of time to come up with a process and a system that works for you, you can potentially do this for the rest of your life. So you have to think of it in terms of longer term. And I put 2 to 4 years because I know that there are some people who can find consistency kind of within a year or 2 years. A lot of traders that I've talked to, they say it takes 3 years, but that's not everybody. Sometimes it could take a little bit more. So really trying to think longer term. If I'm willing to grind it out 2 to 4 years, put in the work, sacrifice that time, really hone in on a process. And if I can give it enough time, then at least you give yourself a real chance to succeed rather than trying to get rich quick and make money right away. So really trying to change that mentality and think longer term. Don't think in terms of days. Don't think in terms of months. Try to think in terms of years, which is not easy to do, but will benefit your trading. And the next one is going to be no home runs. So the thing that happened last year in 2021 with AMC, GME, and all the meme stocks, it got a lot of people to get used to that home run mentality. And I feel like they're starting to see that that's not the case this year. They're all struggling if they're even still trading. So that mentality of trying to hit home runs, wanting to get rich quick, that is a big negative when it comes to trading psychology. Of course, there's going to be times where volatility picks up and you have to take advantage, but the idea of trying to hit a home run usually ends up in losing money because you're so obsessed with the idea, and then when it doesn't pan out the way that you want, you start making bad decisions, and then usually your P&L pays for it. And this kind of moves into the next thing, which is small gains add up, consistency. And I know I've talked about this on my YouTube channel a lot. I am a big fan of scalping quick moves, consistency. That's the most important thing to me. And I know that if a lot of traders thought like this, think in terms of consistency, base hits, they will add up, and usually that will lead to becoming profitable. I leave a ton of money on the table because I don't care about trying to catch the whole move. There's not a person on this planet that can catch the whole move every single time. I just want to become the best I possibly can at catching a piece. And I know that if I focus on that aggressively and I don't get away from it and I don't think about trying to hit home runs and I just take those quick moves, at the end of each month, I should be able to make money. And the next one is going to be to accept the tougher times. So this market recently, it's been a little difficult to trade. We have a lot of back and forth. It's very indecisive. The moves can be aggressive. It can do a lot of the opposite things that you think should happen. So rather than getting upset about that, think of this as good experience and really try to accept these tougher times. Because if you're able to be open-minded each and every day, do a really good job at managing risk, maybe you don't put up as much P&L as you want, or maybe even you're just flat, and that's not a bad thing. A lot of people make it seem like you have to make a lot of money, but when times get a little bit more difficult, even just kind of hanging around flat is okay. So really take a step back if you're struggling or if you feel like you're not going anywhere and your P&L is just kind of staying flat, and try to think of it as a challenge accepted. I'm going to do my absolute best to trade during these difficult times, maneuver the market to the best of my ability so that way when it gets easier, I'll be ready. That's how you become a better trader, not when the market is easy to trade, but when it becomes more difficult and you accept that challenge. And you can navigate accordingly. You could do a good job at managing risk and you come out all right. When things start to pick up again and it gets easier, you're ready to take full advantage. And last one is going to be to focus on the perspective. Like really think about what we're trying to do. And if you're a consistent trader, you're better than 90% that jump into the market and try this. So you always have to take a step back and realize that that's the case. Now, I know social media can be very toxic. A lot of people make it seem like they make tens of thousands of dollars every day and they're millionaires overnight. So one thing that I always recommend is that if for some reason you're following people on social media, and it could be me included, where you do not like what you see, or if for some reason you have tough days, and then when you go see their stories on Instagram or their posts on Twitter or their videos on YouTube, and it's about them making thousands of dollars, and then you watch that video and you kind of start to question yourself and you don't feel good about yourself, unfollow those people. Now, obviously, a lot of people put really good content out on the internet, and it's nice to learn things from them, but there's a difference between it being positive and negative. When you start to feel like it gets negative and you really beat yourself up by watching all these videos or scrolling through social media and you're seeing all the positive and you're having bad days, I mean, that's when you got to know personally it's time to just back off, step away from social media, and not get caught up in the noise. And if you're consistent but not making thousands of dollars a day, that's okay. I mean, obviously, we're all striving to do better, but if you can make any money at all, think about how lucky we are. We get to do this for most of us sitting at home in front of our computer screens, just hooked up to our internet. We can click buttons on a mouse or our keyboard and potentially make money. I mean, that's pretty insane. Not that long ago, this opportunity didn't exist. So try to see it for what it is and be grateful that we have the chance to do this. So those are some tips that I've used to implement into my trading to help change my trading mindset. Hopefully you got some value from the video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I just want to talk about a couple cool things that I have to offer. The first is going to be my newsletter watch list. This is exactly what I post on my private Twitter 30 minutes before market open every single day. I do a quick analysis of the overall market, the SPY and the Qs, if there's any major market news that day, and then all the stocks I'm interested in watching, it's usually 4 or 5, if there's any major news tied to them, and all the levels that I think are in play. To the left, this is exactly what I'm posting on my private Twitter. I make sure to add that newsletter. I take a screenshot of the charts, green line to the upside being long, red line to the downside being short, and I make sure to highlight those 2 levels above. This is everything that's going on in my mind and my game plan going into each market open. Also, I make sure to add a little mental note because every day is slightly different, and here's an example of that. And if you want something that's a little bit less of a commitment, I do offer a live one-on-one call for 1 hour. This is where you can ask me questions about my journey, go over setups specifically, everything that I've gone through as a trader. Whether you're beginner or advanced, this is a great way to connect with me. So if you're interested in my private Twitter or the one-on-one live call, feel free to go to callmattdiamond.com or check out the links in the description below.